live stream where we do some shopping today. Sorry, I got a little confused because I do live stream so often. But today we're going to look at some early Black Friday deals, um, and most of the Black Friday deals on camera gear, like cameras and lenses and things, are already in place, and they're pretty much set between now and the end of the year. Also, DxO Photolab started their Black Friday sale today, and they're saying up to 50% off. That's on their Viewpoint software, but everything else is, 20, 10, 20, 30% off, give or take. But the good news is there's an additional 5% discount if you use my affiliate link and then use the coupon code that I have down. And I have all the links down below. So for those of you that are fans of my DxO Photolab live streams and also the software, and you want the very best editing software, in my opinion, for your photos, DxO is it. So we'll just take a quick look at that, and then we'll get into some gear and accessories. Let's see. Yeah, there we go. So this is their deal. So we now have the DxO Photolab 9, which has the AI editing tools, which are pretty handy. I can still get by without them, but they've added the AI tools, which is really nice. It's very handy for selecting objects, of course, and they've also updated it recently in version 9.2 to have even better masking. Uh, you know, Particularly around fine lines and hairs like trees and hair. Also, we have PureRaw 5. So if you like to use your own editing software, maybe the latest Affinity that came out that's free now, you can just use the DxO Pure Raw to pre-process your raw images to get the very best quality right out the gate, and then do whatever editing you want to do in your software like Affinity or Photo Lightroom. There's a lot of them out there, or even OM Workspace. And and then Viewpoint is really a very specialized software. It's 50% off for controlling the geometry in your images. I don't see too much use for it in my case, and I do architectural photography a lot. But check out the demos on that and see if that makes sense for you. If you're very critical about your geometry in your images, because it does have some very unique tools, but there's already some very good geometry tools, fundamental ones in Photolab. So if you have Photolab 9, I don't see much need to get Viewpoint 5. Also, we have Nik Collection and Film Pack 8. I use Nik Collection actually time to time to do my HDR images. I don't know why. I like that old school HDR. I don't post too many of those pictures, but I do like to look at them and create them, just for my own enjoyment. Also, it has a lot of the film simulations built into there. Now, they're not quite as in depth or as accurate as, say, the other package that they offer, the Film Pack 8. Film Pack 8 is sort of the definitive plugin for getting all of the different film looks, whether it's various color film, color slide film, black and white negatives, things like that. Uh, it is pretty much the the definitive source or the pinnacle of plugins to do film looks. Uh, and I should mention one new thing they added in Nik Collection 8, just going back for a second, is some sort of paper texture background. Nik Collection is really for the creative types, right? Like we like to do double exposures and HDR and apply different film filters. A lot of neat stuff in there for creatives. Again, it's something I use a few of the filters and things they have in there. Like I do like the double exposure and HDRs, and occasionally some of their toy camera effects are pretty nice. But for the most part, these things are for the more creative types. I try to keep my images semi-realistic most of the time. Occasionally, I'll just get get a little add a little flair to my images with Nick Collection. So and as always, I do weekly live streams on DxO Photolab 9, editing your photos and having open Q&A as well. So if you need any help with DxO Photolab, I can probably handle most of the situations uh, in using the tools and things. If you need to learn how to do anything, it's nothing like submitting your own images and seeing me edit them, right? And using the tools in Photolab 9. I think that's the best way to learn is just kind of looking over my shoulder and my thought process and how I apply the different tools. So there's that. So for that, they're showing what 199.99, and another 5% would be another $10. So you can get it for like 190 bucks instead of 200 if you use my affiliate link and coupon code. And then you can do the math for everything else. So you are saving, uh, as much as you can. It's not as big a discount as they've had in the past, uh, but honestly, it's as good as last year, and uh, I'd say the year before that. The last 2 or 3 years, they've sort of tempered the Black Friday deal a little bit. I guess because they're getting very popular, and they have tried to maintain the price somewhat, I think, from previous years. But the XO Photolab 9 is their very best now. It's the latest and greatest, of course, but it is really, really good now. I think for anyone that wants to edit their photos. Okay. And then I see, let's see, Henning's here. Good afternoon. And Robert, good to see you. Um, and Henning's saying, no package yet. It's way too much time. Yeah, I haven't gotten anything from you, Henning. Sorry. Uh, and let's see, Jeff is here and Dale from northern Wisconsin. Good to see you. And Paul, Walt, oh my goodness, Walter, how are you? Say hi to your lovely wife for me. And Intrigue, good to see you. And Darko, I'm doing well. I hope you're doing well. Okay, so let's talk about the deal of the century today. I'll go to my deal page. Again, the links for all this stuff is down below. Excuse me. This is the robtrek.com/deals. That's the link for that. But I wanted to point out this particular tripod. I just bought it this morning because I found it this morning on sale. $29 for a tabletop carbon fiber tripod. This is unbeatable. This deal here, this tripod sells, I've never seen it less than $69 in various generic names, GVM in this case, but uh, like Small Rig makes one, they're charging 70 bucks for it. Uh, let's see, if I scroll down, it might even be in the film strip down here. Yeah, like look at this one from Cavix. This is the same tripod, $79. And let's see, there's probably another one here. Here's one from Aoka. Same exact tripod. We're just changing the name, right? On the branding. Yeah. $68. I mean, nobody is even close to this price. So yeah, I had to get one. I just had to get one. I think it comes with a center column too. You get a little tool there, some kind of magic arm thing for your phone holder, and you get this extension arm as well. I mean, an extension arm alone is usually about $16-20, right? That you can use on any tripod. Uh, so, if if you've been thinking about a table tripod at all, now is the time. Now is the time to get one. I bought one and I just missed the return window. I bought one for $28. It's right now it's going for 33, and that was a good deal. Where is that thing? It's I've been pushing this one for 30 bucks. It ranges between 28 and $33, this particular one. But this one's branded by Newer. But this is a great little tripod, and it's about $20 less than you'll find it from any other brand that's using this particular hardware. But this GVM deal is a killer deal. So I'm going to get it in a couple days. By then, it'll probably be out of stock, and you'll never see it again. So that's this. This is one of those deals that if you don't get it now, you will never see this again. I haven't seen a deal like this in months, to be honest. This good in months. I've had other deals like on tripods that were like 16, $20 that I still use, and they're great tripods for the money. Uh, but this tripod, $29. Yeah, this is another one of those deals that once they're sold out, you will not see this again, ever. Just saying. Okay, so there's that. Uh, let me let me show you one other tripod from GVM that is a very good deal now. Where did it go? I'll pull it up here for you a second. Okay, this one. There might be a 10% off coupon down here, so check that first. But this is a very, very good tripod as well. It has a standard Arca Swiss plate. I've talked about this a little bit before, but I wanted to reemphasize that this is a really good deal. This is a $300 tripod. You're going to pay between $240 and $300 for this tripod once the holiday thing is over, and once they're out of stock on this one. Because this tripod comes under a couple other brand names like Ulanzi and Coleman. I don't know if Ulanzi still makes it or not. This is not exactly the same. I'm just gonna eyeball it and see. But see this see the tabletop tripod keeps coming up because I just looked at it. But let me see what else is in here. I don't see it. Uh, but I know Ulanzi makes this one. Yeah, this one. Well, this is close. The head is slightly different. This uses the Falcon X head. But that's what I'm saying. This is basically the exact same tripod, but not quite. I know they have the exact same one. Oh, sorry guys. I won't waste any more time looking for it. They definitely have it though. Maybe they had to stop for a while and let other people sell it, like GVM. Let me see if it's under this brand. Interesting. It used to come up all over the place. So anyhow, trust me, this tripod, I think I think in about a year will come down in price. But right now, this is this is a very, very good price for this tripod. And I have the Coleman version here. If you're interested in looking at it, let me know. I can kind of, but basically it has this inverted ball head, Arca Swiss plate, and separate rotator with a leveling base. This does it all, right? So it's great for doing panoramas and things, and it's very compact and lightweight. Okay, so let's see. I see some more people. Boy, Marco's here. How are you, Marco? And Roger says you bought that. Oh, you got it for $10. Man, that's awesome. Using some points you built up. Uh, oh, it's not listed for you over there. Sorry about that, man. Oh, but that's a great tripod. Um, okay, so let's go back up to the top. So I really wanted to emphasize that tabletop one. I don't get excited too often about gear, but that, about deals specifically. But that one I'm pretty excited about. And I think it's a great value. Another really good deal, I think, is this lens here. If you shoot Sony, they may have it in Nikon mount as well. Uh, but this did not get hit too hard by the tariffs, if at all. So I feel like this lens, once they're out of stock at the current pricing, it's going to go up, or it's going to stay at $899. And if I shot my Sony more, I would definitely buy this lens because I don't really have anything like this. I have a couple of primes that companies sent me, and I have the kit lens, and I'm good with that Sony camera. But if you're like primarily a Sony user, uh, Sony camera, this is an unbeatable deal for an excellent lens. So I would highly recommend this lens. You will not find any reviews online that knock this lens. There's nothing but praise for this lens. So, and you can buy this for like half the price of the Sony version, or even the Sigma one for that matter, or for less than the Sigma, and certainly much less than the Sony version. Okay. Uh, Another thing I will point out is the OWC card. Now, I've bought this, obviously. You can see I bought one. This is a great card. OWC is a great brand. It's a V60 card. It's going to give you plenty of speed for all of your own system cameras, or really any camera that takes UHS-2. You don't need to get a V90, except in very, very rare circumstances where you have high bitrate video. If you're doing 8K, high bit, 60, whatever the bit rate is, there's only a couple of cameras that do that. Most of us are going to be perfectly fine with this, and you're not going to get any better performance out of the V90 cards. The V60 UHS-2 for $40. I've been waiting for months and months because I've seen another brand, PNY is a good one. They go down to $37 sometimes, but I haven't seen that in months. But this is a good deal for $40 for a really good card. Okay. Uh, Now, moving on to Olympus lenses. This lens, if you don't have this lens, you're crazy. This lens in the 75 to 300, super lightweight, excellent performance, considering the price point. Uh, put on extension tubes, and you got basically a really good close-up lens. Not quite macro, but a really good close-up lens. You can get like 0.5 magnification, not 1-to-1, but about 0.5 magnification with extension tubes with this lens, and it's very easy to use and it's very sharp. This lens, because of this lens, I haven't bothered to buy the other variations of this focal length, the 40 to 150 f4, the 40 to 150 f2.8, and certainly not the 50 to 200 2.8. Uh, this lens, I've had no reason to upgrade it because the performance out of this lens for the use cases that I use it for, like in event photography, stage photography, this lens is unbeatable. And you can even use it as a short telephoto for bird on a stick. Bird in flight, a lot of times they're too far away for this focal length. You need to get to 75 to 300. So, and it's a great portrait lens. This is a great portrait lens. Like, I can show you, and by portrait, I mean, a lot of people like to get that shallower depth of field with their portraits. You can do that with this lens. Here I'm at what 145 millimeters at f5.6. So you really, the bulk out of this lens is very smooth and creamy, and there's plenty of room, or it's very. You have to be really careful when you talk about depth of field. It's a very shallow depth of field to give you a blurry background, and the quality of that blurriness is very, very nice. That's just one example. The other lens, now this lens has been hit by the tariffs, so this is going to be a $500 lens now. You used to be able to buy this all day long at 400, but that's gone. Those days are gone. 500 is now the going price. This is an excellent lens, even at this price point. Uh, 75 to 300. I've gotten so many great pictures with this lens. I love taking this out, even more than my 300 millimeter f4, for a lot of the birding that I do, because I just don't need to carry a big heavy lens all the time. Most of the time I'm in good light and the birds aren't that far away. Now, when I really want the very best, I will bring out my, $3,000 lens. But this will get you probably 80, 90% there in terms of image quality. And also, for in terms of reach, now you can't put teleconverters on either of the two lenses I just talked about, but this is a 600 millimeter equivalent field of view, so you're getting so much reach in such a tiny lens. It's really a minuscule lens for the focal length that you're getting, and the performance is excellent. So those are the immediate lenses that I recommend. That now is a good time as any. They're not going to be a better price later. You can always buy used, of course, and save a few bucks. But if you want to buy brand new with warranty and all of that, this is this is a good time. Between now and the end of the year, this is going to be the time to get these lenses. There's a few other specialty lenses uh, that I talked about last week. I won't go back into those again. But if you have any questions about any of the other lenses, just let me know. I'm pretty familiar with a lot of them. But those are the main deals. Now, a new thing that I found, I thought this was really interesting, and this is actually a really good price for this product. But these are not LEDs; these are flash, and then they come with the the gels or color caps here to put on if you want to do multicolor. But this is a flash, so you're going to get plenty of light output out of this as opposed to LEDs. So I think, and if you add a radio trigger or, extension cable, and you can use a generic extension cable because it doesn't need TTL, uh, you can use this off camera to some extent. I mean, I'm thinking about getting this. This is, you got three flashes in one here on these, you know, twisty, twisty arms or whatever you call it, flexible arms. That's what they're called. Uh, But yeah, I really like this a lot. And this for 80 bucks, I mean, I can't find anything else like this at this price point, not even close. So I can highly recommend this this particular set at this price point, even though it's not on sale. You can see that, yeah, it's been $80 for a long time, since May, and before that it was $90. So it's not, but like here's one from Small Rig. This is an LED, $50 for one LED. It's an RGB LED. It's a fancy pants thing. But if you had to buy three of these, they're not going to be as bright, and it's going to be twice the price to get the same effect, basically. Uh, Here's another one. This is LED. This is fine for indoor use on a tripod like the tabletop one I showed you earlier. But if you want to use this outside, yeah, this ain't going to cut it. Plain and simple, this will not cut it outside. The only advantage to this is you can use this on cameras that don't have a shutter, like TG7 or Sony A1 Mark II. These like shutter-free cameras, your cell phone cameras that can't use flash. Then yeah, you're gonna be stuck to using LED lighting. And even then, this is indoor only. It's really hard to use these outdoor because they're just not bright enough. Uh, and what do they want for this? $37. There's some other LED options here, but yeah, you're only going to be frustrated with these other options. I just don't see anything else. If you want a really bright LED, yeah, something like this, $45. Even then, that may not be bright enough. Uh, yeah, I just don't see anything else here. Like I said, there's nothing else like that product, like this. So, and at the very least, this will make a great gift to any photographer. Something like this. Uh, so I definitely recommend this product. This just came up somehow when I was searching around for stuff. I'm I may get one. I may get one, but let's wait a little bit. If you don't need it now, maybe we can wait a little bit and it'll go on sale later. But it doesn't look like it ever goes on sale. If I look at the price trend here, it's been $80 since May. And Prime Day was right in here in October. It didn't go down on Prime Days. We had Prime Days here in June and July, no discounts. So I don't think this is ever going to go down in price, uh, unless they do another price drop later. But I would say if by the end of the year this hasn't gone down in price, maybe just go ahead and get it. Or if you want it now, it's not a bad price. $80 for what you're getting, and you can start using it now. Uh, I think it's a really nice product. And then I also want to mention that the diffuser that I've been promoting is very similar to this, but it's out of stock and it hasn't been back in stock for about a month. So I put this one out. This one is not quite exactly the same. Functionally, it's identical. It's going to do the same thing. But the difference is the little hole here is not uh, smaller. This is a bigger hole. It's still elastic and it's big enough and small enough. I mean, the size is okay, but the one that I have, oh, I have it here somewhere. The one that I have is a little more flexible. It holds onto the lens a little bit better. It was $3 more, but it was a little better than this one. But that one is just I can't find it anymore, and it's been a month, so I wanted to give you another option. And it is cheaper, and it'll functionally be the same. You'll just have to hold it. If your lens is a little bit smaller, like the 60 millimeter macro, you're gonna have to slide it on and off from location to location. Like if you're moving from one spot to another, it's not gonna stay on the lens because it's just gonna be too loose. So I would, but that's not a big deal. It's a very, very minor workflow issue. Okay, a couple other neat things. Let me go down, down, down. I found a new, oh, the V480 is on sale. That's a good deal. This is a great flash. They have it for OM systems right here. And of course, Fuji, Nikon, Canon, Sony. This is a great flash. So if you do macro photography, this is a great option. Or even portrait photography. This flash has enough power to do just about everything you want. But we're I'm sorry. I'm sorry for scrolling so much. But I thought for sure I added that bag to my list here. Ah, here it is. This is a great everyday bag. What's their name? K&F makes a very, very similar bag. I mean, well, basically identical. It just says K&F on the front instead of, S Zone. But they sell theirs for $32. And that's a good deal. I paid $26 for mine, about a year ago. But this one's 20 bucks. And what I like about it is the insert here. This is a really great insert. It's adjustable, as you can see. It's kind of Peak Design-ish. But this is basically a Peak Design copy of the Peak Design, uh, shoulder bag. Or what do they like to call these things? They call these crossbody camera case. So these crossbody bags, right? But this is basically an imitation of the Peak Design, which is $100. And you're getting basically the same thing for 20 bucks. And there's also a $2 coupon here that you can take advantage of. And this will hold everything, that you would need for a short day, right? You can take your OM3, OM1, EM5, OM5, plus a couple lenses, plus a V480 flash, or some of the other smaller flashes like the IT30, IT20, things like that. A few extra batteries. I have fit I fit my OM3 60 macro, 40 to 150, and 25 1.4. So I fit in three lenses and my V480 flash all in that one little bag. It's tight, but once you get on site, you take your camera out, and then things aren't so tight and crammed in there. But you can get everything in there, get out to your location, then take your camera out, and then you got a nice, really nice little carry case there, shoulder bag for 20 bucks. Uh, Peak Design copy. And then there's some other variations here. Here's a $10 one. It's a little bit smaller than the $20 one. But if you're on a very, very tight budget, and it's got the standard, dividers here, nothing fancy pants like the other one. But it's gonna hold your gear. It's just a little smaller. It's a little smaller. Not quite as tall or flexible, but 10 bucks. This is the kind of bag that I would probably use as an insert for my backpack, right? So I would take the strap off and just use it as an insert for a backpack. So if you have a backpack or a bag, shoulder bag that doesn't have uh, inserts for your camera gear, you can use this. But I use it in my camera backpack to get additional protection and capacity. Because most backpacks, it seems like they're all made for the old DSLRs that were huge. not for mirrorless cameras, and they never have enough dividers. So I always use one something. I have something similar like this that I use in my backpack to sort out my gear a little better. So you can think of this as two ways, right? You can use it as a shoulder bag for $10. I'd recommend a $20 one. But if you're on a budget, you can use it as a nice, cheap little shoulder bag. But primarily, I would use this as a bag insert for a shoulder bag or for a backpack. And also just keep this in the trunk of your car to carry a couple extra lenses or gear, and keep it secure. And then when you get on site, you just take the things that you need and you can leave everything else or whatever you don't need in the bag and it'll be protected. And there's some other variations here of bags. Here's the tripod that I bought. It's great. This is a great little tripod. So if they run out of stock on the carbon fiber one I showed you, you're out. You're not going to get it again. This is your only alternative. This is not as compact as the carbon fiber one, nor as light, but it's a great little tripod. I've been using this for some tabletop macro stuff, and it's very solid, very secure. So, so let me go to the chat section, see what's going on. Uh, Walter says the GVM tabletop center extension might also be good for BTS video capture. Yep. Yeah, I mean those because they sell the center extension columns separately, from other brands and things, because they are very useful for a lot of things. And it's included in that. Like I said, the extension thing goes for $16 to $20 all by itself, and they're giving you the whole tripod. That's such a deal. Okay, any deal uh, for roller bag for OM system camera gears for a landscape trip to China? Okay, we'll look at those. I have a couple of bags that lack a tote handle. Didn't think I'd miss it, but yeah, you gotta have a tote handle. It's a pain to pick up a bag by the strap only. You gotta have a handle. Okay, so like if we go to this bag here, it has a handle on the back. See right here. There's always things I look for in a bag, and then we'll start to look for the roller bag. 'Cause I like the straps generally to be stitched into the bag. I don't like the little buckles and things where you attach it. The downside is you can't replace the strap, but I think the positive is they're much more durable when they're built into the bag. This has the handle. This has a rear pocket, has a front pocket, and then has a nice big opening on the top with good dividers. So this has everything for 20 bucks. Is it going to last you 20 years? No. But 5 years? Yeah, easily. This is easily a 5 to 10 year bag, depending on how often you use it. But okay, so I do have some ideas on roller bags because I did shop those for a while, but I just don't travel enough. So I decided I bought something else that I would use more often. It's a roller bag, but it's a big one that I would never travel with, but it holds all of my gear. But I was looking at roller bags, and there's a couple of things I always like to look for. I like to look at the wheels. Wheels are really important because I did used to travel a lot, and I carried a lot of electronics. I was not doing photography back then, and I went through 3 or 4 roller bags, burning off the wheels on the roller bags. So when I buy a roller bag, I'm very sensitive about the wheels. Okay. This is what I bought. It actually shows. This is what I bought. I bought this big thing here for my lighting gear and umbrellas and stands. Because when I do event photography, it's just easier to carry everything like this. It ended up being a little bit too big for what I need, but it's okay. It's better than being too small because the other bag I have is too small. But let me find you a good roller bag. Okay, I'm just looking right now. I had a few options from the usual suspects. Yeah, there's some good deals. I was just looking at Larry. Larry bought a G9 Mark II. I know that's pretty tempting. 1,500 bucks. Now, my challenge is though, when looking for roller bags, is I'm not familiar with like airline regulations in terms of size. So anything I recommend here, I'm going to make a couple of recommendations, but you'll need to double check the bag size against whatever airline you're going to be flying. I don't know what the standards are. I'm almost there. I got a couple here. Okay, this one definitely. This one second. Okay, I'm putting them in order now of recommendation. I think this is the same thing, just a different color. I'm gonna move that over here. Yeah, it's the same thing, just different color. So I'm gonna delete that. Keep that one. We'll keep that one. That's the same bag again, just a little smaller, but I'll move that here. Okay, one last check here. And I'm looking for budget bags, not like these $400 or $500 ones. I mean, you get what you pay for ultimately, but we're looking for a deal, right? Something you can use for one trip, two trips. Okay. All right, I think I'm done. Everything else here is really super expensive. Um, this one is mildly interesting. I'll put that one last. Yeah, 400. These are really expensive. All right. Okay, so this bag I like the most. What's the difference between a G and an R? I think just the capacity, maybe. But anyway, this is a good size. Lots of dividers, right? For a micro four thirds gear. So you're gonna be able to really fit a lot of things in. You still might need this to cannibalize some dividers from maybe another bag, but this will hold a lot of stuff. Lots of zippered pockets. This is also really important for cables and batteries and filters and microfiber cloth and lens caps and whatever else. Some small tools. It's really important to keep all that stuff separate and away from the gear. So as you can see, lots of dividers. That's what I like about this bag. It also has a nice light gray color, so it's easy to see things inside. You have a retractable handle, and they don't have a good picture, but this has really good wheels on it. I also like that it has this handle on the side, so you can carry it like a briefcase, or roll it around on these two wheels. So let me go down, comes with a rain cover. It's implied here that it's, carry-on size. Like I said, double check that. There's dimensions here. But this has really nice wheels on it. I like these wheels. I've gone through so many wheels. I've gone seriously. Back when I used to travel a lot, I burned through a lot of cases, roller cases, and it's always the wheels that are first to go. So it's nice to see this has decent wheels on it. The wheels that I don't like are the ones that are sort of inside, like they're not on the ends of the bag. They're kind of inside and they're smaller. And when they wear out, you're done. Okay, this is the same bag. I'm not sure exactly the difference though. Let's see. I don't know why that one is $10 less. 55.35. I'm assuming it's the size. No, it's the same size. I just don't see. I don't see the difference between the two. But let's move on. Look at these two. Look at these two bags. I don't know why one is $10 less, but look at those two. And then this one here is $100 less. Okay, so but this also has divider. Not as many dividers, but it has enough. But you're definitely going to have to cannibalize some dividers from another bag. It looks like it comes with like five small dividers here and two long ones. That ain't going to cut it for Micro Four Thirds gear, in my opinion. You're most likely going to have to cannibalize some dividers. But lots of pockets here, but they're on the outside. And the compromise here, let's see if I can find it. Can tuck. Oh, you can use this as a backpack too. That's kind of cool. The compromise here is really in the wheels. This is definitely a one or two trip bag. It'll still hold all your gear. I think it's rugged enough. But yeah, if you're going to be rolling this around after you go through one trip through China, and I'm talking about multiple, check in and check out. But I think this is like a one trip type bag. A lot of times these bags, the wheels are the first to go. This is another one from Newer. It's a little cheaper, but it's smaller, right? It's basically the same line, but really nice wheels on this one. But yeah, it's in the same family as these other bags. I would definitely go with one of these two. This one looks a little small, but I like that it has so many dividers. But this may be all you need, and it's got kind of a hard shell on the front too, so maybe a little more protective. And then this last one from Catawan. This is another kind of budget option. I like the wheels on this one better, but you know, this is usually where I find the biggest compromises in the wheels. So that's why these cost so much less. But I would not spend any less than this on a bag if you're going to be going to China. I would look right in this area. And this one's also pretty small. Looks like it has just enough dividers, little slot there. You can use it as a backpack. It's expandable. So it has, I don't know if I'm pronouncing this, Watkin or Quatkin camera bag. Um, they have some other variations here. Yeah, these are not roller bags. But I would say, honestly, this is my top choice. Has the best wheels, the most dividers, side handle to carry it as a briefcase. you know, I think this is the best option here. So definitely check that out. I'll put a link to this one in the chat section. And I'll add that to the deal page also. Okay. So the newer two-in-one looks good. Okay, good. I hope that that was helpful. It's I've said it a million times now, but it's always the wheels. That has the nicest wheels on it and lots of dividers. Okay. That looks like that's it for questions from you guys. If you've had, this open Q&A, if you guys have any questions, I've already sort of kind of gone through. I'm just scanning one more time what I thought was the best deal for the day. This is the diffuser. This thing has been out of stock for months now, so it may never come back. But if you look at the hole here, it's a little bit more flexible, right? It gets really small, so it'll fit the 60 macro lens very easily and tightly. Whereas the other one, it's just gonna rest on the lens, and then you're gonna have to hold it while you're taking the picture because it's not gonna be quite as secure. Whereas this one is pretty secure on its own, but it's just not available anymore. Um, there's some other stuff in here. There's a lot of camera deals right now too. I have some of the Olympus ones up here, or OM Systems. Here's a refurbished TG7 and a brand new TG7. You can go either way on these. It's a great little camera. And of course, the OM1 Mark II, which I love, along with the OM3 cameras. These are great cameras. You can do everything with with these cameras. I'll show you a couple of pictures that I took. I took this yesterday with the OM3 and 300 millimeter f4, and I used DxO Photolab software. Because guess what the ISO is on this? The ISO on this image here is 12,800. 12,800 ISO. I over sharpened it a tiny bit, but I might back that off. If I wanted to do this again, I'd probably back that off a little bit. 12,800. Okay. Here's all the exif data. F5.6, 1/800th of a second, 12,800. Okay, this image here, same settings and camera and lens. This one here is ISO 10,000. Using DxO software and OM system camera and lens. I mean, can't complain. That is so good. Same settings, 1/800th of a second, ISO 10,000 f 5.6, 300 millimeter f4, and teleconverter. Now I'm going to show you the next image here, and same bird, or not the same exact bird, but this is a ruby something kinglet or something. I forget what it's called. Ruby crowned kinglet. But this is a little bit more. This one here is at ISO 400. And look at my shutter speed, 1/60th of a second. that was a mistake on my part. I just got lucky, but I do want to emphasize the image stabilization that I could hand hold a 420 millimeter lens, which is an 840 millimeter equivalent, but we'll just say 420 millimeter lens on a micro four thirds camera. You know, there is no motion blur at all on this. So amazing, amazing stabilization. And if you look at the timestamp, oh, it doesn't give you the timestamp. Maybe it's down here in the further down in the fine print. But yeah, I took one shot and I looked at my settings and I was like, holy crap, because I wasn't ready to take a shot of this bird. I just saw it and I said, oh, I better get a quick shot. And then I looked at it and I said, oh crap, I'm at 1/60 of a second aperture priority. That's totally messed up. So my next shot, since I was doing bird on a stick, I was shooting at 1/800th of a second, which is, double the focal length, right? Because we're at 1/420. So I went at 1/800th of a second. I'm sorry, 420 millimeters. So I went to 1/800th of a second just to minimize motion blur and all of that. It's just good practice. But that's why my ISO went up to 10,000. In the other case, 12,800. But yeah, this can't be beat. So for those of you thinking about doing, and the eye autofocus was perfect on those shots, as it was on many of the shots. But if you're thinking about upgrading to the OM1 Mark II or maybe getting an OM3, there's no compromise, in my opinion, over any other system that you can get for doing birding. In fact, I would argue it's probably the best system for wildlife and birding. I could have easily gotten these same shots with the 75 to 300. I didn't bring it because I was trying to shoot some swans, and I knew they were going to be really far away. So I wanted to use the teleconverter so I get that extra reach. But I could easily done these same shots with the 75 to 300 and gotten virtually the same quality. Bird on a stick type photography, the 75 to 300 that I showed earlier, you're not going to have any issues. Where the 75 to 300 is going to fall a little behind the 300 millimeter is in lower light and faster shutter speeds and autofocusing in terms of keeping up with birds flying around. Uh, that's when it's going to struggle a little bit. But like this bird's not flying, just sitting there. This is the 75 to 300 lens. Unbelievable color, clarity, all of that stuff. Um, and I'm at ISO 640, but there's a Kingfisher I did 1/6400th of a second ISO 800. This is cropped quite a bit. So just a couple of notes or a couple examples of the 75 to 300 and the OM system cameras for birding and also DxO software. So kind of all in one, right? The entire workflow that I have is my OM system cameras, OM system lenses, and DxO software to get what I think are just amazing, amazing quality of images. Okay, I see a couple other questions came up. The Gray Vanzini says, imagine back in the film days having 10,000 ISO. Yeah, I know. Because back then, like even getting 1600 ISO film was hard to find. Anyone come across deals for a good monitor? Oh, yeah. Okay. So hopefully you got my email yesterday. I sent the edits of the dog pictures that you asked for. I almost forgot to send them to you, but I sent those to you last night. And any deals on desktops for photo editing? I know you prefer laptops, but maybe you know of a desktop. Yes, okay. So Marco is the best one to ask about desktop. But the basic specifications that you look for in a laptop are going to be the same as desktop. Uh, And what's your insights on the 14 to 150? Okay. All right. So just real quick on the 14 to 150, I didn't like it as much as using the 14 to 42 and 40 to 150 kit lenses separately. I think you get a little better quality out of the lenses separately than you do in the all-in-one. But we're splitting hairs here. Ultimately, the 14 to 150, because a lot of people, when you buy the camera, you get the 14 to 42. So all you need to do is to buy the 40 to 150 and you're good. But the 14 to 150, the all-in-one lens is weather sealed and it still has very good quality. But uh, it's a tough sell for a lot of people because you already have the 14 to 42 usually, and you just buy the 40 to 150 for less than 200. The 14 to 150 is a little bit expensive. It's like 500 bucks, give or take, sale, used, whatever. 500 bucks all day long, used around 350. It's a little bit of a tough sell. I'd rather buy the 40 to 150 kit lens for less than 200. But if I needed weather sealing, then 14 to 150 is a good alternative. All right, so monitors, I can spot a good deal on that for you real quick. Okay, what size do you want? I would recommend a 32 inch. Once I went to a 32 inch, you never go back. But give me an idea of the size you're looking for. I'm going to start with 32 inch, but if you want a 27 inch, that's probably the smallest I would go. Okay, so 32-inch 4K monitor. Uh, this is it. The Dell 32 4K S322QS. The Q series from Dell has always been excellent. $279, that's a really good deal. I paid $500 for my LG, which is using basically the same panel. This is a VA panel, okay? So it's not an IPS. So generally, this is the kind of monitor you're going to be looking at while you're sitting at your desk and not asking other people to come over and look at the picture, right? The VA panels generally have better contrast and better color. This is 95% DCI-P3. Most of the time, you're going to be working in sRGB, and to tell the difference between DCI-P3 and sRGB with the naked eye is really difficult. You can see it, but the main thing is when you're editing, you want to edit working in the DCI-P3 color, monitor, so you're not missing out on anything. And then when you export to sRGB, you know that the colors that you're working in are going to be perfectly the same or better, going to be very good in sRGB. I don't know if you're familiar with the color workspace workflow, but generally when I'm editing, I'm working on a DCI P3 monitor, and then I'm exporting in sRGB for Instagram and Flickr. And this monitor has a really good contrast, 1500 to 1, and really good color uh, representation here at 95% DCI P3. So that's about as good as you can get without spending thousands of dollars. Even if you spend thousands of dollars, I doubt you'd be able to see the difference with the naked eye. Okay, that's it. So that's one option. I'll add this to my deal page just so you can look at it for comparison later. Let me find another monitor that's not a VA panel because sometimes you want an IPS panel. And there's only one IPS panel that is better than the one I just showed you. Um, because the main thing with the VA panel is the viewing angle. That's what I was meaning. Like if you're sitting in front of your desk and working on your images, you're going to be fine. But if if someone else is looking at your monitor, it's going to be a little bit faded or less contrast. The viewing angles aren't quite as wide on a VA panel, but IPS panels don't have that issue. I'm going to see if I can find, because Dell makes the IPS version. LG actually makes the panel for Dell. Uh, Give me a second here. Let me see if I can look it up. Like if you asked me a year ago, I would have remembered exactly the name. Oh yeah, the QE. Ah, I don't know what your budget is, but I doubt it's $800. Yeah, the QE. Let me see if I can find the Dell version. Um, this is an updated version of what I have now. I have the LG version of this monitor. Um, but it's $899 because they include a hub and all kinds of stuff. That's why. Hold on. Where's the one without all that stuff? The 32. Give me a second. Here it is. Here's a QE without all that stuff. 4K. Make sure this is the right one. I would go. Oh man, these are. A C3 XG 900. Man, these prices are really up there. You are 500. No. So far, that Dell monitor looks like the best. This one might be good. Yikes! This is curved though. Oh, I don't like curved monitors. That's cute. I think this is the one. Let me just check the LG version because LG makes the panels for Dell or for a lot of the Dell monitors. It's a 90%. This would be a good alternative. So I'm looking at this Dell. This is a 90. This is a 32-inch, 32. The ultrafine 32. Let me just. Okay, so this is a little cheaper option to the Dell. It's also a VA panel, but I would, and this is a really good deal. I think this is a good alternative as well. This has a 90% DCI-P3 versus a 95%, but it's a VA panel, so it should have very good contrast too, but they don't list the contrast in here. DCI HDR10, that doesn't mean anything. Just ignore if it says HDR10. When you get up to the HDR 400s, then that means something, but HDR10 doesn't mean anything. Let's open this one up. So I'm going to add this to the list. This is a really, really good budget option here. I wouldn't be surprised if it's the same panel, but we'll add that one to the list. And then this one, this is an IPS, 60 watt. Who cares about that? Let's see. 95% DCI-P3. So this is basically the same thing as the Dell that we looked at first, but this is an IPS panel. So this is going to give you a little bit better contrast when you're not looking at the monitor straight on. Like it's going to look better to the eye. So I would go with this one. I'll add this to my list here for you. I'm going to look here. We looked at that. We looked at that. The last one I would recommend is the Acer, whatchamacallit, Acer Pro Art. Let's see what they're selling for these days. That's a 27. But the Pro Art has a 99% DCI-P3. That's pretty solid. This is sRGB. Do they give a quote for DCI-P3? And it's a 27, so forget about that. Yeah. So the Pro Arts, if you want to spend, this is a little bit smaller, but okay. So this is a 27-inch monitor, but it's going to have much better color, right? In terms of specs. The DCI-P3 is 99%. You also notice that I have HDR 400. So it's actually going to be very, very bright. So if you do want to work on HDR content, this monitor is going to be able to handle it. But we're talking about video work primarily, not photography. Down the road, I don't know how popular HDR like viewing is going to be, we might be many years off from that. But this future proofs you just a little bit, okay, for HDR photography content. But for now, mostly people doing HDR 400 are doing video type work because it's going to be displayed on HDR television. So they need an HDR monitor to sort of, do their editing. And then what a lot of videographers do is they actually replay their videos on a television after editing on a monitor like this. But I will add this. This is not on sale. Yeah, this if you're not in a hurry, you can wait for this to go on sale later. This goes on sale for about 50 bucks less than it is now. But it's a little smaller monitor, but it is brighter and it has better color. So, and anyone that's used an Asus ProArt, they don't, I've never really heard any complaints about it. Oops, oops, oops. Where's they had some 32-inch monitors listed. Ignore this ProArt. That one's not as good as the Dell. Yeah, not here. Oh, that's why I didn't look at these. These are $1,700. Yeah, you don't want to spend $1,900. Okay, so there's three monitors, maybe four, that you can kind of consider. But I think this looks like the best deal. The S322QS. This looks like the best deal, or the LG. The LG is pretty close. Either one. All right, and then the other question is, so Walter says is ROM Bruce RGB. I thought they used a Pro RGB or Pro S. I mean, the working color space is one thing, right? The display color space is another thing. So, and Capture One is Adobe RGB Lab, and that's a relatively small color space, Adobe RGB. But I don't know what Adobe RGB Lab is. So whatever the color working space is in the software is different than the display space because the monitor driver is going to convert the working color space in Lightroom or Capture One or whatever, like in whatchamacallit, in Photolab 9, they have their own color space called DxO wide gamut. Regardless of the color space, ProPhoto RGB. I thought that's what Adobe used, but anyway, uh, it doesn't matter. Every software is using a certain color space that you're working in, but what you're seeing is going to be whatever the monitor is capable of. And the monitor driver is going to interpret the software's working color space, let's say ProPhoto RGB, it's going to convert that to DCI-P3 through the monitor's driver. And that's what you're going to see with your own eyes. But um, so don't worry. What I'm saying to I know Walter knows this, but what I'm saying is don't worry about, always use the widest color space you can as a working color space in your software. Make sure you use the proper drivers and or color calibration because you can also calibrate your monitor as well. And that's going to introduce another color profile on top of the monitor's driver. Uh, but all of that gets displayed through whatever the monitor is capable of. Your monitor is only capable of sRGB, then I mean, a more extreme example is if you get a black and white monitor, what difference does it make the software working space is working from, right? It's going to be converted to black and white. So, I mean, it makes a little difference, but you see my point is you want to get the widest color space you can possible when you buy a monitor without spending a fortune. DCI-P3 was designed actually as a video color working space for videographers, but it's so close to Adobe's RGB color space. They're basically interchangeable. There's slight shifts in certain color ranges between Adobe RGB and DCI-P3, uh, but most people just work in DCI-P3 these days, I think. Unless the monitor is capable, has an Adobe RGB driver or something, or DCI profile. Okay, not to get too complicated. Uh, okay, so curved monitors, I don't like them because I do a lot of geometry, right, with architectural type stuff. And a curved monitor just messes with my eyes. I'd rather have a flat monitor. And most people looking at photos are looking at it flat, right? Like if you print it out into a picture frame, you don't normally buy a curved picture frame, right? So I like to work, I like the workflow to be as linear as possible. So if I'm going to print out a flat picture, I want to edit it on a flat screen. If I'm doing architecture, particularly when I'm doing perspective corrections like this, right? Uh, just my eyes, I don't know if my eyes would be able to adjust to a curved monitor. Now, I know a lot of people, they still do architectural work on a curved monitor and they say it's no big deal. It's no different. But, I just have a mental block with curved monitors. Okay. It's all on me. So that's my perspective anyway. I just don't like the idea of working on a curved monitor when I'm trying to get my lines straight, right? But I've watched a lot of reviews on curved monitors, and specifically people that did architectural work on curved monitors, and they said it was not a problem at all. But I just avoid it altogether. I just use a flat screen because I'm going to print flat. Most people are looking at it on their phone. Their phones are flat, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And let's see, 27-inch and 4K is not for people at our age. Yes. Profoto RGB and Bruce RGB are effectively the same, probably. Profoto RGB goes outside of the actual color space. Um, I thought there was a question here though, after monitors. Oh, computers. Okay. So computers. All right. I'll do my best here, but I'm gonna I'm gonna try and give you some guidelines, but I would go over to hothardware.com and look at Marco's website for, or email Marco, go to his YouTube channel, Hot Hardware, youtube.com/hot hardware. But generally, you want to look for gaming desktops because gaming desktops are going to have dedicated video cards typically, and all the specs that we would need for photo editing. And I can only recommend PC or Windows-based machines because I'm not familiar with Mac. But Mac is certainly a viable option. Uh, but I can't give you any recommendation there. And I can only talk about Intel PCs. So let me just do a quick a quick look. How is that? Let me see. Amazon may not be the best place to search. It's that other computer website. Um, okay, I'm going to go to Micro Center. I don't know if you can buy from Micro Center or not from your location, but uh, PC computers, desktop. Okay, so I remember they have a pretty good filter. So we'll ignore that. We'll ignore the brand. So we're going to do 32 gig or greater. Going to do Intel. We'll worry about the CPU later. Let's do 2 terabyte SSD. We don't need to worry about memory speed. We're going to do Intel. Okay, so there's only 12 machines here. Um, let's look at this one. This is the best deal. 1469. This has a 12th gen. That's a little bit older, but that's good. That's good. This one has the no, ignore that one. This is a very, very budget option. Oh, it's an all-in-one. That's why. Okay. The reason I ruled this out right away is, let me zoom in. You see the letter U here, right here in the CPU? It's a Core 7 150U. You don't want that. You want to make sure that the Core Ultra K, that's a good one. Usually I look for the letter H, but that might be laptop related. On a desktop, you want to look for the letter K. So all of these are good. This one looks really good. Again, it all depends on your budget. But usually what drives the price up of a desktop is the graphics card. So, like for example, this is a 5060 Ti, really good card. But if you go up to a 5070, it goes up 500 bucks. Here's a 5070 Ti. This is $400 more. That's usually the main difference in the pricing. This is a 14, oh, that's 2300. So I have two choices here, okay? This one has the newer Core Ultra 7, which has kind of the AI neural thing in it. Right now, it's kind of a mixed bag if it's going to work better or not in photo editing. But I haven't seen any problems with it. This is the older generation, 12th generation Core i9. When it comes to photo editing, CPU is not that important. Okay, I don't care if it's the 12th generation or if it's this newest Core Ultra. That's not going to make any difference. But this Core Ultra one also has the 57 Ti version. The Ti version is like the regular version. This is a regular 5070 over here. As you can see here, the Ti version, you can see has more RAM built in, 16 gig instead of 12 gig, which is more useful for video work, but it doesn't hurt when it comes to photo editing, especially with all the new AI tools coming in, and they have to do a lot of processing on the video card. So I think this is worth the $200 more because it has the 57 Ti, but you probably won't be able to tell any difference in practice between the two. Technically, this is a much better computer. So these are the things you want to kind of look for. You can kind of ignore like the CPU unless it has the letter U in it, like this one. If you see the letter U, just avoid that altogether. So if we go to Amazon desktop and we say 32 gigabyte and an RTX 50, really only need a 5060 and 2 terabyte SSD and Intel. What's this? Core i7 1400F. Oof, I'd rather have a K. K just means it can be overclocked, I think. But this has everything, basically, this Acer. So let's keep a tab for that one. This has the 5060 Ti. Oh, this is even a little better. Okay, same price, and it's a well, no, it's more expensive. This has the regular. Oh, these are both TIs. So yeah, let's forget about the MSI. Stay with Acer for now. Uh, nope. This has the Ryzen processor. I'm not that familiar with those, so I'm gonna ignore that. 14th gen, 4 core. Nope. This has an i9. Yeah, that's not worth it. This is a good desktop, but you don't need an i9 for photography. This is an i7, 1 tera. Nope, no video card. 4060. This is older generation stuff here. These are really old. So i7, yeah, that's old. All right, so I think this is it. So for a desktop, this is what I would get. Ports on the top, good airflow, a couple of slots to expand. I don't show the back. I always like to look at the back of the PC, but I like this one. I like this one a lot. So I'll add this to the list. So what I recommend is, because PCs are not exactly my jam, right? But at a minimum, that's what I would get. And then I would go over to Marco on hothardware.com and or his YouTube channel, Hot Hardware, and correspond with him. He may be able to put a better computer together than that and sell it to you pretty cheap if you're here in the US. So that's what I would do. He'll give you much better advice than I can on this. But I would my confidence level in the system I just recommended is pretty high. And the price point looks really good because we got a 14th gen Core i7, a Ti dedicated chip, 32 gig and 2 terabyte SSD. That's all pretty solid. It comes with the case and all the cooling and everything. So question is, I wonder if it comes with an operating system though. Does it even come with Windows? Yeah, it comes with Windows 11. Okay. So, yeah, I just wanted to make sure because sometimes you can buy a computer and there's nothing installed on it. This looks like a good deal. That looks like a really good deal. Okay. Going through the chat section here. CDW is another good computer store. Yes, that's right. I just had to kind of like have a checkbox place that I could go to, like on Micro Center. Micro Center is pretty good, but I would I would go to yeah, CDW is excellent and but I would definitely check out, talk to Marco. And Levant says, I bought a Legion 5i Gen 10 16-inch with RTX 57. Fast for Lightroom Photoshop, but heavy. Paid 1,500 with tax. Yeah, you paid for the GPU, right? The 5070. Uh, so that's a good deal. Heavy. That can't be more than a 7 or 8 pound laptop, though. It's a 16-inch, yeah. I love the Legions because the ports are on the back. It's hard to find a laptop with the ports on the back. Because if you're like about the desk laptop life, like replacing your desktop, it's really convenient to have the ports on the back, right? So here's a Legion 5 with a 5050. Yeah, this is cheap stuff. You got the good one. Uh, these are all 15-inch. Well, if we go to Lenovo, we can sort of select what we want. But these are all 15-inch. 16 gig, 15-inch, 15-inch, 15-inch. Oh, here's a 16-inch. All right. So 16-inch. So this is probably the one you bought, right? But they don't show the weight here. Let's just randomly select two. 1 year warranty. Weight used to be like the number one thing to look for in a laptop because you were going to carry it around. They don't even list the weight anymore. Isn't that something? But I imagine it's a 7 pound laptop, which is not bad, really. I mean, 7 pounds is not light, but it's not that bad. Okay. But going from a 5060 to a 5070 in terms of graphic cards, it's not that much difference for photography when we're talking about the AI tools and things, at least the way things are right now. So if you can save a little money by getting a 5060 and you can get a Core i7 processor, you don't have to get the Core i9. As long as you have 32 gig of RAM and a good 2 terabyte SSD to give your software some breathing room, you should be good for photo editing. The reason you want to go to a 5070 or 5080 What do I have? I think I have a 4080. I bought my laptop a couple years ago. Um, it's because I do video work and I just need that extra processing power for video. But for photos, a friend of mine just bought a Dell with one of the ultra core i7s, like the AI Intel chips, with a 4060, right? Or maybe she had the 5060, but she had the low end version of the RTX cards lineup. And it was only a couple of seconds behind my computer, and my computer is, has the better video card and processor, technically. And then Jeff says the Macs with the M4 processors work really well for Photolab. Okay, good. Yeah, I'm just not familiar with Macs, so I can't speak to their performance, but okay, I think I'll call it here. Those are the deals for today. If nobody has anything else they wanted to look for specifically, let me just see. Yeah, I don't see any other questions. So get the tabletop tripod, get the deal on DxO using my link and discount code to get an extra 5% off. And buy OM system cameras and lenses, the 75 to 300, the 40 to 150, the OM1 Mark II, the OM3. Uh, and you'll be a very happy camper like me. So thanks so much for joining me today. I really appreciate all your support. And you guys eat healthy, exercise. I want to see you guys for a long time. But in the meantime, I'll be back on Friday. So I hope to see you again soon.